You're live.
Good evening and welcome to this Central Area Planning Committee meeting on Wednesday, the 19th of November 2025. My name is Councillor Paula Spenceley and I am the chairperson of this committee. Members, we are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you are giving your consent to being recorded. During each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you to speak at the appropriate time. Could I ask members to avoid approaching the top table, as this could create interference with the cameras and the live stream. Please note that the YouTube live stream sound recording is dependent on the correct use of the microphones. Therefore, can I ask that when invited to speak, you remember to turn on your microphone and turn it off when finished. Please reference the page or paragraph number if you can when referring to the agenda, as that helps, and keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible. So we move on to apologies for absence. Clark, do I have any apologies, please?
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies for absence from Councillors Jennings, Lagan, Stilts and Swindle.
Thank you very much, Clark. So let's move on to our minutes. So our minutes were actually sent around earlier by email and are on our internal system mod.gov for members to have looked at today. It is recommended that the minutes of the meeting held on the 22nd of October 2025 are approved as a true and accurate record. Councillor Burwood.
Yes, thank you, Chair. There's a couple of errors. Councillor Swindle is not shown as being there, and she was, and Councillor Stilts is shown as being there, and she wasn't.
Okay. Have you got that correction, Clark? That is in fact accurate.
I've noted down that correction.
Fantastic, thank you. So, any more corrections to the minutes before we look at those again? Okay, so I so move. Do I have a seconder that they're approved? I say Councillor Burwood seconding, and can we all vote on that just to be clear that we're happy? Yes, everybody's in agreement on that. Fantastic. Declarations of interest. So just a reminder of what we have there with declarations of interest. To disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regard to paragraph 9 and appendix B of the Code of Conduct for members. Do I have any? Councillor Burrell-Cook.
Thank you, Chair. I am acquainted with the applicant on agenda item 5.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. That's noted. Okay, so we move on to the substantive item tonight, which is item 5 on our agenda, and that's a report on the land adjacent to Heybridge House Industrial Estate, Bates Road, Maldon. If you want to find that item on the agenda, it's item 5, pages 7 to 20, just for a quick reference there. Mr. Purvis is here to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So we've obviously considered this application last time. So as stated in the introduction of the reports, the application was considered last time, but due to a voting issue, this has been returned to this committee for a fresh consideration following the advice of the Council's monitoring officer. There are some changes in the report. There's an introduction section that sets out those changes, a couple of changes, some of the paragraphs and some additional conditions, which I'll come on to towards the end of this presentation. So just as a reminder, this application seeks full planning permission for the storage of empty bins, empty skips and lorries associated with the green recycling business, which is located at the eastern end of Bates Road. The use is already in operation on site, so this application is looking to regularise that. Although not part of the application, but just to make members aware, there is an enforcement notice on the site that's live at present. That's subject to a live planning appeal. Depending on the subject of how this application is determined, that may be withdrawn in the future if this was to be approved. That's obviously something that's separate to the consideration of this application. We just need to consider this application for the purposes of tonight. So the location plan shows the site etched red. It's just to the north of Bates Road, commercial area to the south, some residential directly to the north and some other commercial properties in Hall Road. The aerial photo shows the site. This is a hard standing area there, and as you can see there's some items on the site that are currently stored there, or was when this photo was taken. I don't have a date for that, I'm afraid. The block plan shows how the site would be laid out. So there's a condition 9 in the report that within 2 months, because it's still in existing use, within 2 months the site will need to be laid out like this in terms of regularising that use. You can see the green areas there is the bins, and then other items will be stored between those roads as shown on the site. And there's a plan to show the vehicle movements in terms of vehicle tracking inside and out that's based on a skip vehicle, as you can see on the image. Elevation plan, so that's looking towards the south. The entrance is on the left, and there's a substation there as well. But that's a view to show the bins, and the photos will show that in a moment. So entrance is just on the left here. This is a public footpath that leads through into Hall Road, round the side of this site, around the back of the site. That's the access into the yard. And then within the yard, you've got this area of hard standing and some more loose hard standing areas here. But you've got the bin storage, and you've got the skip stored, and more. Just another angle. This is taken from the south, looking north. Obviously, you can see the wharf building in the distance, which is not in the site, but it's in the distance. And then you've got another angle there from the footpath, another footpath that runs along the southern boundary of the site. That's to the south. That's the bigger building. There's the Celtic building. I don't know if it's a different use now, but it was approved back in the day as a part of the wider site here. And that's a collection of industrial units that also back onto part of the site. The site's up here, as you can see, so it's just more to the southwest of the site. That's an image to show the footpath as it goes around the back of the site, the palisade fencing, the skips on the left, and then you've got an area of vegetation, and then you've got the river, which is a stream at this point in time. Along that, amongst all that vegetation, it's hard to see that. And then you've got the residential properties just to the right there, and then you've got a back garden that's between their rear elevation and the edge of this area where the greenery is. And there's some distances just to show the relationship in terms of those properties, and distance to boundaries, like about 12 metres. I think it says 10 metres in the report, but it's about 12 metres, and there's about 21 to that boundary. And then back-to-back distance in terms of rear elevation, that's about 21 distance from the rear fence, the palisade fence that you've seen. So just come to other changes. So we've got condition 9 I've already mentioned. So condition 10 and 11 are 2 additional conditions that were agreed with the applicant and agent since this application was considered at the committee last time, and obviously takes on board some of the considerations that members brought up last time. So the applicant and agent are happy to accept 2 additional conditions, one for some soft landscaping to soften the appearance of the site within the site, and also the requirement for an acoustic fence, which should hopefully allay any concerns in terms of noise impact and things like that, in terms of the impact on the neighbouring residential properties to the north, as you saw from the plan earlier. So there's those additional conditions in the recommendation. The application forms as well they were updated as well, because then you'll see on the title slide on the front page, it refers to the applicant being Robert Smith and CSH Environmental. CSH Environmental are no longer part of this application, so it's just the name of Robert Smith now, just to clarify that as well. So just move on to the recommendation. So the principal development is not contrary to policy. The Environment Agency have no objection. This isn't a high-risk flood zone. It's not part of the functional floodplain. But because this is a less vulnerable use, and as you see, it's a storage use, there's not human presence there all the time. It's just people coming and going to the storage uses, and it is storage. There isn't any waste processes undertaken here. They are all bins that have been cleaned and brought to the site for storage purposes, and the skips and lorries. So the Environment Agency don't have any objection, as it's a less vulnerable use. The site has limited public impact. You'll see it from the footpath pictures I've shown, but again, the palisade fencing does screen it to some extent. And the use is considered acceptable in this location. It's not employment land, but all the land to the south is. It's probably not employment land because it sits in the functional floodplain, which is why it's difficult to get planning permission for any buildings and other uses on there. This sort of storage use is the most compatible in terms of a flood risk use in this location. So there's there are also no highway or ecology issues with this application. So the recommendation is for approval with the recommendation as set out in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr Purvis. So I now move to our public speaker, Mr Robert Smith. Would you like to come forward? Well, the clock won't start, as you know, Mr Smith, because you've done this before, until you start speaking. So get yourself comfortable.
Thank you for letting me speak again to support this application. 1 month ago, at the last meeting, this application was voted upon and a counting error occurred, which went against us. Since that vote, we've been in contact to address some of the points and concerns raised by the members. We have agreed to put in place an acoustic fence and sympathetic planting to address both the noise and the look of the site. We use Jackson's acoustic fencing at our main site and it is extremely effective. I'd like to confirm the operating times would be from 8 AM, not 7 AM, till 6 PM and 8 PM till 1 PM on Saturdays. No Sunday or bank holiday working to minimise disturbance to neighbours. All the bins and skips stored on the site will be clean and there'll be no waste stored on the site. Any bins will be cleaned and emptied at our main site and then taken to this site for storage. In the application, 55% of the land area will remain as grass, bushes and trees, as well as the sympathetic planting areas that you've mentioned before. Maldon Town Council have no objections, the Environment Agency have no objections, Maldon District Council Planning have recommended approval. This very committee voted 5-4 to approve this application last time. I sincerely hope that you can approve this enhanced and improved application tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr Smith. Okay, members, so I'm now going to invite you to put any questions or make any comments you have on the report before we move forward. Councillor Spenceley.
Thank you, Chair. Well, first of all, I'm grateful to the applicant for responding positively to the concerns raised by residents, and I'll return to that in a minute. Still one small question mark in my mind about the flood issue with regards to skips and whether they're tethered or not. But the Environment Agency would be the source of any objection for that, and they have not objected. And I guess they have made an assessment of the likely flood risk, as have the officers. So turning to the new conditions, as I say, I think they're very positive. The one thing I'd say is I'd ask officers to work with the applicant to check the line of sight, the height of the fencing and the line of sight to the buildings on Hall Road, which I think are slightly elevated. So it may need to be perhaps higher than you might normally do. But I'm grateful, as I say, for that positive response. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Spenceley. Any other speakers, any other members want to say anything at all? Councillor Driver.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Equally, as Councillor Spenceley has said, I'm pleased to see those amendments are now in this application. They were clearly concerns that were raised last time, and it's good to see that they've been addressed, and I appreciate that. And I think that helps with feeling like this is a scheme that can go ahead and would be sustainable. So thank you for that. I think that's been helpful.
Thank you, Councillor Driver. Okay, so if everybody else has spoken, I'll just say thank you very much to the applicant for working constructively to make sure that this suits both yourself and is mitigated for the nearby residents, because I think, as you know, that's what I'd said in the last meeting. That was really what I wanted to happen. So I'm quite pleased that we've actually reached that place in this application. So with that, we have the recommendation from officers to approve. So I'm going to propose that we move forward with that and approve this recommendation. Sorry, Mr. Jaggard.
I was just checking, hopefully not jumping in too soon. Before you move to the vote, did you want to move to a recorded vote?
That comes after. That comes after Councillor. Sorry, Mr. Jaggard. So I would propose second, and then I'll move to the recorded vote. Don't worry, it's fine. We've got this. So, do I have a seconder for that approval? I'll take Councillor Dodsley there. Okay, so now, as you know, we are now moving with our planning meetings at the moment until we have a better system in place, a system of recorded votes. So I'm going to propose that we have a recorded vote, seconded by my... Okay, so I will now move over to our committee clerk to take the vote, please.
Okay, so I'll read each councillor's name out in order, and I'd like you to say if you're for, against, or if you abstain from the vote. So we're voting on the proposal to accept the officer's recommendation to grant approval on this application. Councillor Burrell-Cook.
For.
Councillor Burwood.
For.
Councillor Dodsley.
For.
Councillor Driver.
For.
Councillor Lay.
For.
Councillor Nick Spenceley.
For.
Councillor Paula Spenceley.
For.
Thank you, everyone. That is 7 for, none against, and no abstentions.
Okay, thank you very much, Clerk. So therefore, I declare that that has passed. Thank you. Good. We're all in agreement. Fantastic. So with that, we're going to move on to item 6, which is any other items of business that the chairperson decides are urgent. You'll all be glad to know that I have no items which I consider are urgent at all on this cold night. Goodbye to our applicants. Goodbye. Thank you. So closure of the meeting. Members, thank you for your contributions this evening. I now draw the meeting to a close at 7:47 p.m. As the meeting is now closed, members are advised to please leave promptly. Thank you.